Hey guys, Cameron here. Today I wanted to talk to you about my newest backpacking stove setup. If you've seen me in my last few backpacking videos, you've seen my new setup, and so I feel like I've gotten some experience with it, and I've really enjoyed the new setup. Now, over the years, you've seen me use alcohol, Esbit, or other canister stoves, and I think each one of those has its own place in backpacking, but primarily a lot of the places I go require a canister stove. That's why you see me using canister stove more often, and I just think they're simple and easy. Now, the canister stove you've seen me using mostly over the last few years is the Jetboil Minimo, and I absolutely love that stove. Definitely never going to get rid of that one. But for what it does, boiling water, it is pretty bulky and pretty heavy. Still really love the stove, but I wanted to move on to something a little bit lighter and a little bit smaller. So I wanted to show you the new setup that I went with, and what I went with is this setup right here. I think that for the price and weight and size, this is one of the best you can put together. It's really user-friendly. This would be a great setup for anybody looking for one stove and one pot, and that's pretty much all they ever plan on buying. This is a great setup for a solo use when backpacking or car camping. And I'm really enjoying this so far. It's definitely not the lightest you can go with, but I think for the weight, the money, and how well everything is built, I am really happy with this setup right here. So I thought I would break it apart, show you the individual pieces, and show you why I think if I only had one stove setup, this would probably be it. So to begin with, I really like this setup because everything can nest inside of the pot here itself. Besides my spoon, which I normally use a long-handled spoon, which would be about twice as long as this pot is tall. But my stove, my fuel canister, my lighter, everything is inside the pot right here, so it's all self-contained and it's really neat. Now you definitely don't need this padded carrying sleeve, but it's really nice to keep everything held together and to kind of protect the pot from getting scratched around inside your pack or at camp. So definitely don't need the sleeve, and you can take it off and you can ditch that. But I also really like the color. It's really great to be able to look down in your pack and see exactly what you're looking for. So the pot that I went with is the Toke 650. This is a titanium pot, and this is my first titanium pot. Olivia has one that I've used a couple times. But the 650 is a great size for solo, and definitely for me. Primarily all the cooking I do is boiling water, and then I make water for coffee in the morning. I don't really cook or simmer too much, and I was worried that the 650 might be a little bit big, but this is the perfect size for me. I think the 500, the half liter, would have been a little bit too small, and then anything bigger than that is almost getting a little too big for me to drink out of as a coffee mug. So for what I'm using this for a mug and a cup and everything that I need, the Toke 650 is the perfect size for me. Now you can go with a aluminum foil lid if you want to lighten up just a little bit, but this lid here is super lightweight, and I really like that it fits perfectly on the pot, seals, so it just goes really well with the system. I really like this tab right here on top for being able to pick the lid up. You can pick it up with your hand, or you can put a stick through there if it's a little too hot. And then you see the vent holes right there. That's awesome to be able to see steam coming out without having to pick up your aluminum foil lid or whatever like that. This is my stove. Now the wrapping here is just a piece of bandana that I cut up because I can't carry a full bandana, right? I mean, that'd be way too heavy. So I cut one into about 4 pieces, and that is to protect my stove. And this is the Msr Pocket Rocket 2. This is a newer stove to me, and I really love this. It's really cool the way that it folds up, and this is a really high quality stove. The Msr Pocket Rocket, the original one, has a really great reputation. You see those at a lot of big box stores and things like that. They've been around forever, and the reason they've been around forever is that stove just works, and it is a well-made piece of equipment. And so getting a newer stove, they had the Pocket Rocket 2 out. That's why I went with this one. Watched a bunch of reviews online, read a bunch about it, and it had really good reviews. And this thing has worked great for me so far. You can tell that it's really high quality, really well made. And I have had the BRS stove in the past. I actually still have it. That's the little cheap titanium one you can get on Amazon. They cost like 15-20 bucks. And I actually think I have a review of that. And I used to really like it, but you get what you pay for, and $15 or $20, my BRS kind of started melting down on me. I think there was a problem with the regulator, and yeah, so just wanted to go with something a little bit higher quality, and I think this Msr Pocket Rocket 2 fits the bill, and I love the way that it folds up and fits right down inside of the pot. And then the piece of bandana, this just works out really well for me, being able to roll the stove up inside of that and stick it inside the pot is a really great thing. And then I'm going to use the bandana, obviously, to help clean out my pot and clean my dishes and things like that. And then I have obviously 3 more of these because I cut a bandana into 4 pieces, so I can get home from a trip, and if it's really nasty I can get rid of this, but most of the time I'm just going to wash it and then reuse the same piece again. Now the stove itself comes with this little carrying case. This is just a hard plastic case from MSR, and the stove will fold up and fit down inside of this. So if you're not putting it inside your pot, you can take this stove and put it inside your pack. Got a nice bright color, easy to find, and this case will definitely help it from getting crushed or anything like that. It's a really heavy duty case, but I don't need it for what I'm using it for, since I'm putting my stove inside of my pot. My pot will help protect it, and then wrapped in the bandana definitely helps keep it protected, and I'm not worried about that at all. But this is an option that comes with the stove, and you can definitely use that if you want. Doesn't really weigh much. All right, so the next part of my setup is my lighter. This is a mini Bic. This is the small size Bic Lighter, just cheap thing you can get at a gas station or Walmart or something like that. And it fits great down inside of here. I believe you can fit a full-size Bic Lighter inside the pot, but you know, I don't really need that. This thing will last a super long time. I've used these in the past with success, and this has worked really well for me. There's extra space inside of the pot with everything in here to put some extra matches, or maybe a really small ferro rod, or a second lighter if you're worried about your ignition source going bad and you want to have a backup. You can definitely fit that inside the pot as well. So next down in here is my fuel canister, and this is the smaller size fuel canister. This is like the 3.5 or 4 ounce fuel canister, and it fits perfect down inside the pot, as you can see there. You still got a little bit of room for it to move around, and I found for me the best way to get everything to nest inside here is to stick it in here upside down, and that is because the canisters are concave on the bottom, and so that gives you a little more volume once you stick it down in there. And then this part of the canister, the rounded part, will be down in the bottom of the canister. I really love this setup and how everything fits down inside the pot itself. Now, speaking of the pot itself, this is the Toke 650. And I'm absolutely in love with this thing, whether I'm using it for a pot or a cup. It has worked out really well. Like I said, great size. It feels pretty sturdy for a titanium pot, and I really love the handles that fold out on the side. This is a really neat design. I like this little notch right here. Is a great place to be able to stick your finger in there and hold your cup without it sliding around. I love that the handles fold back out of the way. You've seen me use the Foster's beer can pot in the past, and I love that, and it's worked out great. But one of the main reasons I wanted to go to a titanium pot is to have handles to be able to hold it by. That is super convenient. This pot is just really awesome. It has markings, as you can see there, for your measurements, and those are really markings on the inside, so you can see them from the inside or the outside. Your fill level of water, which is awesome. This thing will hold 650 milliliters. I'm generally not boiling quite that much, normally boiling between 8 and 12 ounces, maybe up to 16 ounces. And you have plenty of room, probably like an inch of room in the top if you're boiling 16 ounces of water. So like I said, this is a great size. This is as big as I'll ever need for solo backpacking. Just really awesome. And then, like I said, the lid fits on here really nicely and gets you a good seal. Definitely don't need the lid, but it's awesome how everything goes together. And this is a super lightweight package. So let me take everything and throw it on the scale, and let's see exactly what it weighs. All right, guys, so let's weigh each individual component of this setup and see exactly what we come up with for the overall weight of the whole system. First, we're going to weigh the pot and the carrying bag that it comes in. Now, this is what I would carry, is with the carrying bag. It is 3.1 ounces, but you can definitely take this carrying bag off. So let's see what the pot weighs without the carrying bag. Comes in at 2.65 ounces, and that's actually less than what Tote says on their packaging. They say 2.8 ounces, so that's really impressive that you're actually getting a lighter weight. Next, we're going to weigh the stove itself, the Pocket Rocket 2, as well as the bandana that I wrap it up in. Now, this is just a quarter of a bandana, but the stove with the bandana is 2.85 ounces. Now, you don't have to use the bandana. I just use it because I'm going to use something like that anyway to help clean out my pot and clean off my spoon and things like that. And I think it helps keep the stove protected from a lot of the other metal in the setup. But let's try it without the bandana. You're coming up with 2.55 ounces, which is almost right on what MSR says it weighs. I think on the packaging it's showing 2.6 ounces, so really close there. Now, we'll say that the Pocket Rocket 2 does come with this little carrying case that you can see is just over 1 ounce or just right at 1 ounce. All right, so next we're going to weigh the lighter. This is a mini Bic, and it's almost brand new. It's 0.35 ounces, so less than half an ounce. A brand new one, maybe 0.4 ounces, but 0.35 is close enough for what I'm measuring. All right, guys, so last we're going to weigh the fuel canister. Now, this is the less scientific part of this video because different manufacturers, fuel canisters will weigh slightly differently, brand new, and this is not a brand new fuel canister, so this one's about half used. So I'm going to give you some numbers on this for what this one weighs, just as an idea of something about halfway through your trip, and then also about what it'll weigh brand new. All right, so here is my half-used fuel canister, and it weighs just over 4.5 ounces. Now, this is a 3.9 ounce fuel canister, meaning that it has 3.9 ounces of fuel inside of it. Not that it ever weighs 3.9 ounces. That's just the size. Now, some of these sizes are going to be 3.5 ounces. Some will be 4 ounces, just depending on the manufacturer. So keep that in mind. It says gross weight, which would be the fuel, including the weight of the canister itself, is 7.4 ounces brand new. So if you were doing this whole setup and using this MSR IsoPro fuel brand new, it would be 7.4 ounces. So I wanted to give you a shot of exactly what the inside of this pot looks like with the stove and everything in there. And you can see you still have a pretty good amount of room. If you need to throw some matches or a couple more small pieces of gear that have to do with your cook kit, maybe a tiny little thing of soap, something like that, would definitely fit down inside of here. And putting things inside the pot not only reduces your volume, but it also helps keep things protected. So just a shot inside to see how much extra room there is with this setup. All right, and lastly, we'll weigh it all together to see exactly what I am carrying. And this is the whole setup with everything inside. Fuel and everything comes in right at 11 ounces. Now you can add 3 more ounces to that if you're going with a brand new full fuel canister. So 14 ounces for your fuel for several days. That's the big heavy item in there. Then your pot, your stove, your lighter, and the bandana coming in right at between 11 and 14 ounces. That's really not too bad, and really not a huge setup either. So I'm really happy with that setup. All right, so I have brought you outside, and I wanted to show you just how all this stuff goes together and show you what the flame looks like on the stove. This isn't going to be a boil test or anything like that. Just wanted to show you how it goes together and how it works. So I have everything poured out of the pot itself. We have our fuel canister here. Inside of the bandana is our stove, and we will fold all the pieces out on it. Fold the arms out just like that. Like I said, really sturdy feeling. Then we will take our fuel and screw it right here on the bottom. Every once in a while that's a little tricky to get lined up, but not too bad, pretty simple. So we have that on there, and then you just have a really sturdy base there for your whole setup. And then we'll take our lighter and turn this on till you hear the fuel flowing out. Lights in one strike, and set our pot right on top. There you can hear
exactly how powerful that flame sounds. And they don't call it the Pocket Rocket for nothing. That flame definitely is howling out of there. Really powerful stove, and it boils your water up really fast within a matter of a couple minutes. I really like this windscreen. You can see right up here, right on top of the burner. That helps with wind coming from the side to help not push the whole flame out. It may kind of back down on whatever side the wind is blowing from, but that screen will help protect the flame on the other two sides. Now you can see how much room the pot still has on the legs out here, so you can fit a larger pot on top of this stove, and definitely like a full-size pot for cooking for a family or a big group or something. But this pot does fit on here really well. It still has plenty of surface area. It feels sturdy on there. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall off or anything like that.
Well, guys, thanks for taking a look at my new stove setup. Like I said, really enjoying this. And if I could only choose one of my stove setups, or one for any reason pretty much, this is probably what I'd go with. I really enjoying this. So what stove setup do you use, or what stove setup, if you could only choose one, would you use? I think that this is a great one for all sorts of different places, but you may have a better one, and you might like alcohol or Esbit or even a wood burning stove for whatever reason. So I'd love to hear your comments down in the comments section. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.